Before that, before 2010, have you ever earned money legally? Yes. How? First, I was working doing construction. At one time, briefly, I was working for a brokerage firm. Then I went on and opened a barbershop, opened another barbershop first it was in Staten Island, opened another one in New Jersey, opened a grocery store in New Jersey, partnered up with Fish and Chips restaurant also. What was the grocery store in Staten Island called? Withdrawn. What was the barbershop in Staten Island called? Mo Cuts. And what year did you open up that barbershop? I think in maybe '03, '04. How did you get the money to open up the barbershop? Saved up from the construction stuff. You didn't use the drug proceeds to open it up? No. How do you know that? I can't recall. Are you positive that you didn't use drug money? Yeah, I'm positive I didn't use drug money. What about the second barbershop? What funds did you use to open up that barbershop? Barbershop money. From the first barbershop? Yeah. What about the grocery store? How did you pay to open that up? With drug money. Now, turning now to your association with the defendant, James Roseman. When did you first meet him? About '01, '02 maybe, '01, '02. How did you first meet him? I was introduced to him by my mom. My mom was a tenant of his and his girlfriend or child's mother at the time. Where? In Staten Island. Which part of Staten Island? Mariners Harbor, Southgate section. What do you mean your mom was a tenant? They had a 2-family house that they owned, and my mom rented from him. Mr. Rosemond? Yes. And how old were you when you first met Mr. Rosemond? About 21 or 22. And where? About 22. Where were you when you first met him? The first time we ever spoke was on the phone when I was in prison. Were you living in that house with your mother while she was renting it? Yes. And was Mr. Rosemond living or spending time in that house? Yes. What was the age difference between you and Mr. Rosemond? Maybe close to 15 years older than me. What did you call Rosemond? Jimmy. Now, did you begin spending time with Jimmy? Yes. What year? Back then. So what year? Can you put a time on a year? Estimate on what year you began actually spending time with him? I think it may be '02, '03. And where were you when you would spend time with him? It would be pretty much when he was leaving the house. We'd go to the office, his office, sometimes music events. Where was his office? In Manhattan on 25th Street. What did he do? He was a record producer. And what was the name of his company at first, when you first started spending time with him? Henchman Records. And did the name of the company ever change? Yes. What did it change to? Czar Entertainment. Around what year did the name change? I think in maybe sometime around '04 to '05 or around there. So what was your understanding in the early years? Now let's talk '02, '03. What was your understanding of what Jimmy's job was at Henchman? He was the owner of the company, and I guess to find and break artists, produce records. What did you observe him doing in that capacity? Having meetings, scouting talent. Did you participate in any of those meetings? Sometimes. What artists did you observe him working with? Period or early on that time? Let's first talk early. Back then I used to see him a lot with Wyclef. Not many back then. Just his own independent artists he was trying to break. Sharisa later on in the future, stuff like that. Now, did you continue spending time around Jimmy and his music management company? Yes. Until what year? Till about '09. What were some of the other artists you saw Jimmy working with? Mario Winans, Brandy, The Game, Smitty, Sharisa, many different artists. And did you come to have some role in Jimmy's company? Somewhat. What was your role? We were pretty much just friends, but there was a couple times he would send me artists that he wanted me to help him out with, to somewhat do day-to-day management with. What artists did you work with? Foxy Brown. A couple times I ran around with Game, helped him out. I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification as Government Exhibit 1004 and ask if you recognize it. Actually, I'll show you 1004 and 1005. Take a look at those and tell me if you recognize them. Yes. What are those? Pictures of me and people affiliated with SAR. And are those pictures fair and accurate representations of those incidents? Yes. Times? Are you in those photos? Yes. Do you know when they were taken? Early 2000s, mid 2000s probably. You recognize all the people in those photos? Yes. The government offers exhibits 1004 and 1005. No objection. No objection. Admitted. Can we publish 1004, please? Can we publish 1005? Does that come up? We'll do it the old-fashioned way. Who are we looking at here, Mr. Stewart? To the left is Jimmy. Next to him in the red sweater is Tony Martin. Next to him, female, is Taja and me. And where was this picture taken? It was at a birthday party, I think, for Steve Rifkind, if I remember correctly. Who is Steve Rifkind? He's a CEO of music, CEO for one of the labels. Who is Tony Martin? Tony Martin is a guy that managed Game. He worked for Czar, did the road management for Game. Who is Taja? Taja was Jimmy's assistant. Can we put up 1005? What does this show? Shows me and Sincere. Who's Sincere? Sincere is a guy that used to work for Jimmy. He did the street marketing and all that stuff. And where was that taken? At the same party. I'm going to now bring up what has been marked for identification as government exhibits 1030, 1035, and 1040. Take a look at those one at a time. Tell me if you recognize them. Yes. What are they? What's the general category of what they are? Zara Entertainment t-shirts and my coat. Are they yours or someone else's? My Zara Entertainment t-shirts and my coat. The government offers government exhibits 1030, 1035, and 1040. May I just speak to the assistant for a second, Judge? Sure. No objection. No objection. Admitted. Mr. Stewart, can you just hold each of these up for the jury for them to see? I might hold this one up. It's a little hard to see. Who gave you these, Mr. Stewart? I think a guy named Jason Williams used to work at the office for Jimmy. Were you the only one who got them? No. Who else had them? The jackets, just a select number of people that were close with Jimmy had the jackets, but shirts were given out to everybody for marketing. For what? I'm sorry. For marketing. Who had the jackets that you saw? Jimmy's closest associates. Who did you see wearing one of those jackets? Myself, Jimmy, Jason, Teddy, and Tony had one. That's all I really recall. Who's Teddy? Teddy is one of Jimmy's friends that worked at the office, Teddy Coleman. Miss Brady, is it working? Can we put up Exhibit 31? Who is that? That's Teddy Coleman. He had one of the jackets? Yeah. And Government Exhibit 6, please, Miss Brady. Who's that? That's Jason Williams. Those are people who had jackets? Yeah. And you said you think Tony had one? Yeah. That's the person we saw before or a different Tony? Yes. All right, I'm going to show you now what's been marked for identification as Government Exhibit 1020. Tell me if you recognize this. Yes. What's that? That was my business card at Czar. You had a business card at Czar? Yes. During what years did you use that? Maybe 04 to 06, 07. And did you hand it out to people? Yes. The government offers Exhibit 1020. No objection. No objection. Admitted. May we publish that? What is the name of the person on that business card? That was my nickname. What does it say? Tef Henchman. That was the nickname that you went by? Yeah. And what is Tef? What was the nickname that you went by? Tef. Is that what people called you? Yeah, because I was associated with Jimmy Henchman. Throw the Henchman in there for music. Was that your email address on there? Yes. If someone emailed that address, where would the email go? To my phone. Okay. And by the way, how did you get the nickname Tef? Got it when I was younger on Rikers Island, adolescent. I was always in and out of jail and getting around serious cases, so my friends and myself used to call me that. What does Tef stand for? It was like looking up to John Gotti as a kid. He was called the Teflon Don. Do you still use that nickname, Tef? No. Now, as you spent time with Jimmy, did you learn of any rivalries he was involved with other entertainment companies? Yes. How did you learn about the rivalries? Through him. What were the rivalries, just generally? What do you mean? With what other entertainment companies did he have rivalries? Death Row Records, G-Unit Records, Violator. Let's talk about G-Unit. What is G-Unit Records? G-Unit Records is a company that was formed by 50 Cent that's made up of a couple of artists. Name some people who you know are affiliated with G-Unit. The main artists are 50 Cent, Tony Yayo, and Lloyd Banks. And what's Violator Records? Violator Records was a management company owned by Chris Lighty, and he managed G-Unit, pretty much all of the artists, and he manages others. Can we put up Government Exhibit 20? Who is that? 50 Cent. Government Exhibit 19? Tony Yayo. Do you know his real name? Marvin Bernard. And he's affiliated with what group? He's a G-Unit member. Can we put up Government Exhibit 18? Chris Lighty. And what company is he affiliated with? Violator Management Records. I'm going to show you what's been marked. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. What's the real name of 50 Cent? Curtis Jackson. I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification as Government Exhibit 32. You recognize that? Yes. Who is that a photograph of? Baja. Who is Baja? Baja is a guy that shot up my Escalade. We'll get to that. But of what we've talked about, who is he affiliated with? G-Unit. He's a G-Unit member. And? Manages Tony Yayo, 50 Cent, Muscle. And did you have personal experiences with Baja? Yes. The government offers Exhibit 32. No objection. No objection. Admitted. Can we publish? Do you know Baja's real name? I think he goes by a couple real names. A couple names. I don't know which one is his. Baja Walls, Jalal Bethal, Monster. Thank you, Miss Brady. Now, I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification as Government Exhibit 30. Ask you if you recognize this person? That's game. How do you recognize that person? That's who Jimmy used to manage, and we were associated. You knew him? Yes. Government offers Exhibit 30. No objection. No objection. Admitted. And over what period did Jimmy manage the game, if you know? 05, 06. I don't know when he ended, but started around 05, 06? Yeah, I don't know when it ended. Maybe 2009, 10, not sure. Now, what was your understanding from Jimmy about what the rivalry between G-Unit and Czar, or was it Henchman or Czar at that point? What was the rivalry about? Yeah, what was it about? It was pretty much about that Game had an album that he wanted out and Jimmy wanted to put out before other G-Unit members, and 50 Cent didn't want that album to come out before his artists, and Jimmy still made records, and that's what started a lot of conflict. I'm going to show you. Did you know the Game's real name? Can't recall. Yeah, I do. What is it? Jason Taylor, I think. I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification as Government Exhibit 1000. Ask you if you recognize it? Yes. What is that a photograph of? That's a picture of me and Game down on South Beach. You remember what year that was taken? That might be 05, 06. Government offers Exhibit 1000. No objection. No objection. Admitted. May we publish? Yes. Can we zoom in on that, Miss Brady? So in this picture, who's who? I'm wearing the white t-shirt that says G-Unit, and Game is the one in the red t-shirt with the chain on. The t-shirt says G-Unit? Yes. Is your hand covering part of it? My hand was covering the G. Who gave you that t-shirt? That was t-shirts. I don't know who gave it to me specifically, but it was t-shirts that Jimmy had made up and had them distributed down in Miami during the VMA weekend. What does G-Unit mean? Well, the name of the company was G-Unit, and that was sort of a name that was made up to mock them, like, you don't want to be down with them, G, you're not a gangster, you're not, or something like that, and what's underneath the writing? The underneath is a rat with a circle around it with the line going through it. What was your understanding of what that means? No rats, no snitching, and that was directed at 50 Cent because he was known at that time as a rat. That was how you knew him? Well, that's what the campaign was. I don't know if he did or not, but that was the campaign for that information Jimmy had that we were pushing with to kill his hip-hop credibility. Did you wear that shirt as part of that campaign? Yes. Now, did the rivalry between G-Unit and... Thank you, Miss Brady. Zara Entertainment ever turn violent? Yes. Were you involved in acts of violence related to that rivalry? Yes. What was the first act of violence that you were personally involved in connection with the rivalry? Game had an issue with 50 Cent. Game was in town and 50 Cent kicked Game out of G-Unit on the radio and was talking bad about him. And Jimmy called me and asked me to accompany Game up to Hot 97, and I went up there. As soon as I got there, I saw... Let me stop you. Do you remember what year this was? Maybe 05, 06, guessing. And for the jurors who may not know Hot 97, it's a radio station in New York. And did Jimmy say why he wanted you to accompany Game to Hot 97? Yeah, he told me he just wanted me to hold down, make sure he was safe. He just wanted to go up there to talk to 50. Game was just going to talk? Yeah, wanted to ask him to stop talking bad about him on the radio. You were hearing it on the radio? Yeah, it was on the radio. So what did you do? Did you in fact go down there? Yeah, I went down there, went to go meet Game. As I started walking up to the building, I seen shots fired and... What do you exactly see? I see security guard come on outside, look around. I see him go back in through the doors, and next thing I saw when I'm walking towards the building, I see a hand stick out and just start firing shots. And who was in front of the building? Were there people in front? Was it empty? Game and a bunch of guys. About how many people were standing outside the building? I'm not sure. It was a lot of them. Well, can you give a rough estimate? Maybe 10, 15 guys. What happened when the shots were fired? Everyone started running. I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification as Government Exhibit 645A and ask you if you recognize it. What's that? That's the building where Hot 97 is at. Was that a truly and fairly accurate representation of how that building looked back then? Yes. Government offers 645A? No objection. No objection. Admitted. Miss Brady, could you put up 645A? So, looking at this photograph, Mr. Stewart, I should have brought it up before. This is a laser pointer, and if you press this button and point at the big screen, can you indicate where you saw that hand coming out? Is it working? It's not working? There you go. It's working now. There you go. I don't know which door it came out of. I was away down on the side. I wasn't on the block yet as I'm walking, but I saw it from this area. You saw the hand come out of one of those doors? Yes. And you could hear the shots fired? Yes. What happened? Did people start running? People stay there? What happened when the shots were fired? People start running. Did you see whether anybody got shot? No, I heard somebody got shot. What did you do when you saw the shots? Did you run also, or did you stay there? No, because I wasn't exactly on the block yet, that particular block where the shots were fired from, but I turned on the side where the bulletproof truck was, and then I wound up leaving. What bulletproof truck? 50 Cent's, one of his bulletproof trucks. How did you know that was 50 Cent's bulletproof truck? Had Connecticut plates on it. Had you seen it before? Yeah. And you knew it was associated with him? Yes. So what did you do when you turned on that block? I walked and I left. Were you with Game at the time? No. What did you, at some point then, meet up with Game? Yes. How long after? Within the hour. And what happened without saying anything that Game said? What happened? We were talking and he was upset, shaken up, crying. And after that, where did that happen? Where did you meet up? I don't remember the street, but I wound up in a cab with him and we're talking and I was just upset to see him hurt like that. And I asked him what he wanted to do. And after that conversation, was there something that you did? Yes. What did you do? I called up one of my friends, and he came and met me in the city and brought a gun with him. And we went to Violator Records trying to get in the building. We couldn't, and he fired at the front door. What was the name of the friend you called? Andre Collier. I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification as Government Exhibit 21. Do you recognize this? Yes. Who is this a photo of? That's Andre Collier. Government offers Exhibit 21. No objection. No objection. Admitted. Now, may we publish it, Miss Brady? Why did you make the decision to go to Violator Records after that incident? Because I knew that Violator was the management company for 50 Cent. And who worked at Violator Records? Chris Lighty. Was there an office that you knew of for G-Unit? Not at that time. So where were the physical locations that you associated with G-Unit? Right there. Can we put up Government Exhibit 600C? What are we looking at here? That's the doors for the building where Violator is located. And what exactly did Andre Collier do with respect to those doors? He shot at the doors. Do you know what happened to the doors? The doors were hit. Did the glass break? I don't remember. What gun was used? I think it was a .38. Whose gun was it? His. Can we put up Government Exhibit 600Y? What are we looking at here, Mr. Stewart? The block of 25th Street or 25th Street. And can you point on the laser pointer where Czar was and where Violator was? Czar would have to be somewhere around over here. Pointing to the right side of the photograph, the row of the buildings on the right side, Violator would have to be somewhere up here. Pointing to near the red awning on the left side of the photograph. Now, did anyone order you to do the shooting? No. Were you paid for the shooting? Yes. Who paid you? Jimmy. How much? $2,000. Did you have a conversation with Jimmy about this incident? Yes. What did you say to him and what did he say to you? Jimmy told me that, he was giving me chastising me, telling me, don't be doing that stuff for them guys. Don't be doing that for free. That, getting old now, need to know my value. Leave that for games guys. Them guys on the front line up there jumping around, popping bottles with him. Let those guys do it. I need them to understand my value. You don't do that stuff for free. What did you say? Just listened and agreed with him. And did you ever attempt to shoot at the Violator offices again? Yes. Do you remember when that was? 2006, I think February. How did it come to be that you did that? Me and Jimmy kept talking and he called it off and asked me again and called it off and asked me again. We're constantly communicating about it. And I went through there one night with Andre as a driver and I was walking through the alley to go check out the area. Well, let me stop you there. What was your intention when you went there? To get inside the building and shoot up Chris Lighty's office. Why? Because of the issue we were having with G-Unit and Violator. And you said Jimmy kept calling it off and not calling it off. So at that moment, was it called off or not called off? Not. It was not called off. So you were going there, why? To shoot it up. You were trying to get inside this time? Yeah, that was the plan, to go inside and go up to the office and shoot at the doors.